taxes was waiting around for your taxes to be done, which led to worrying about not getting any money back. Now Taxes is matching with a TurboTax expert who can do your taxes in a day to get you up to $4,000 fast with a refund advance loan. Now this is Taxes. Intuit TurboTax. Get an expert now on TurboTax.com. Expert filing only available with TurboTax Live Full Service. Refund Advance has $0 loan fees and 0% APR. Refund Advance loans may be issued by First Century Bank, N.A. or WebBank. Terms apply. Subject to approval.
Hi, this is Colby from the Colby Cast, and you're listening to Star Wars Reactions. Elegant discussion for a more civilized age.
There's been an awakening. Have you felt it?
In 1977, George Lucas formed a legacy.
The Force is with me, and I am with the Force.
Inspired by mythology, his saga has become a passion for many.
Feel the Force around you.
His legend has become our story.
It's true. All of it.
One of resistance.
We are the spark that'll light the fire that'll burn the First Order down.
Rebellion.
Rebellion is built on hope.
And redemption.
I am a Jedi, like my father before.
This is Star Wars Reactions.
Remember, the Force will be with you. Always.
Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to Star Wars Reactions. We are so happy you are joining us for our 208th episode. Whew. Man, those large numbers. They're getting to me. Anywho, my name is Aaron Harris. I am one of your hosts here, and joining me, he is the whim to my Neil. He is the David Motters. What's up, David?
Hey, brother man. Well, what's up is we are on, like you said, episode 7 of Skeleton Crew, and we're catching up. We're catching up with everybody, but I'm ready to react and looking forward to covering this very cool episode.
Yes, I am too. This is going to be so good to talk about because this series is getting so much fun. I just it's chilling. So let's go ahead and just jump into Skeleton Crew episode 7. This one is entitled "We're Gonna Be in So Much Trouble." That's a phrase I said many times growing up. Sure most of us have. But this episode was released January 7th of 2025, directed by Lee Isaac Chung, and written by Christopher Ford and John Watts. And the synopsis for this episode ripped straight from StarWars.com. Wim, Fern, and KB and Neil are eager to finally get home, only to find Jod and the pirates closing in on At-Aten. The kids make a daring bid to escape the pirates in the Onyx Cinder, but their homecoming is complicated by Jod, who won't let go of the promise of At-Aten's eternal treasure so easily. So let's jump into this. David, I'm going to turn the floor over to you. Talk about your initial reactions to "We're so going to be in so much trouble."
Well, I've been because we are behind. We have been running behind. That's okay. I have a few of the podcasts that I listen to, and it's always interesting. I can tell our podcast friends like to say penultimate, right? So like them, I will say in this penultimate episode, we're on an absolutely crazy ride, literally through the barrier, ending with a cliffhanger that had, my daughter and I saying, like, quote, "No way, you can't end it there. We don't want to wait a week." And so it was fun from start to finish. And yes, for a penultimate episode, it did a great job of getting us to the final episode, which we'll be covering soon. But what did you think, buddy?
Well, I wasn't going to use penultimate. I was going to say second to last, just so I could stand out. But no, this was fantastic. I think it was in our last the last episode of Reactions, I said I can't see how they're going to wrap all this up in just 2 episodes. But I tell you what, John Watson Ford, they had to have graduated from the Dave Filoni school of cramming an episode in with a ton of stuff to make it good. Because they really did make me believe they can wrap this up in 2 episodes. And it was absolutely fantastic how much story advancement we got crammed into this 30, well, by the time you take out the 6 languages of credits, 27 minutes episode. It was fantastic. And just to see the final start of the final growth of these characters for this season as we get to that final episode, it was incredible. I absolutely loved it. So it was edge of the seat because remember when we recorded our last episode, which this episode was already out, episode 7 was already out when we recorded our review of episode 6, and I said I hadn't watched it yet. So as soon as we got done recording, I turned it on and watched it. And I'm like, gosh, this was great. And I'm like, I will say this, my thoughts were correct. I'm glad I didn't watch it before we recorded the last episode, because I'd have been totally distracted. Because it was just great. Fantastic. So, well, let's go ahead and jump into a few talking points we got here, because we got a lot happening here. We have the episode opening up on at Aten with the parents who are continuing to work together to try to contact their kids. They have their transmitter device that they stole the parts for and assembled. They went out into the woods, and they're in the woods trying to activate the communication buoy. And next thing you know, they're surrounded by security droids who keep telling them, "Don't move, you will get stunned. Don't move, you will get stunned." And what do? They move, and they all get stunned. So they end up being all back in the captured by the security droids. So, which I like how they've been. I want to address, because I like how they've been telling things about the parents throughout this series as well. We've been getting those 1 or 2 or 3 minutes back on that Aten with the parents struggling and dealing with the missing kids. What'd you think of that opening sequence with especially when Neil's mom is standing there, she's like, "I'm going to grab it and run."
Well, I'm going to steal this from another podcast. I think they called it the worst relay race ever. I mean, she literally moved to pick it up and got stunned. She didn't even take a step. Yeah, I mean, it's I guess it's fun to see the efforts they're making, but man, we do not want them running the 4x100 relay for the United States in the next Olympics. Let's just say that. No. I mean, it's just slow-mo. But it was cool to see. I like seeing Fern's mom be able to get it and to take off, and that was a neat sequence. And I was wondering whether it would go through the barrier, and I guess it was able to, because Fern's mom got barrier access code, right? A code. Correct. Okay, yeah. So that's how she could get it up through. So, but yeah, you see them, and I, to fast forward to what you were talking about, when they're like, "Why did you do that?" And they're like, "You don't listen. You aren't helping us." And then the droid, "Oh, we're always ready to listen." And it kind of goes to LIS, and then it turns because it's immediately distracted. And I liked how Wendell's like, "What was that?" This is exactly what they're talking about. We're not waiting for help from you guys, So,
Oh no, they aren't. I loved it. The whole the whole random relay scene, and of course, I love how it ends up being Farah, who Fern's mom, who ends up with the buoy at the end, making her escape from the droids and actually setting the buoy off before being captured. I love that. I love that. And of course, we have that buoy going up. But then, of course, it cuts out into space. And what do we get? We get this giant pirate ship coming into orbit of the Maelstrom. Of course, Captain Brutus is unhappy because, of course, it's a deadly Maelstrom. Nobody will survive that. Okay. So he goes to airlock Jod like he said he was going to do. And next thing you know, what happens? The Onyx Cinder shows up.
yeah.
And of course, the Onyx Cinder shows up and they're playing games. And I loved the brief scene of them running through the ship. They're playing with the ball and just playing and having a good time. They were being kids for once. In this in this adventure, they were running, playing, laughing, having a good time. Then of course they arrive at Aten, and then they get captured by the pirates. They lock on a tractor beam and pull them in, and this is where we begin to see Jod's true colors. We see his true colors coming through.
Oh, that's a Carabast right there.
Yeah, well, that's a free serenade for everybody. But we see his true colors coming through. As he, of course, they let him out of the airlock. They capture the ship. They figure out what's going on. They go in, and next thing you know, they capture the ship, and they're trying to get the kids off. And what do the kids do? They grab Brutus with that big claw thing they used to exit the ship on Lanupa, and he's just hanging there. And then you see the wheel start spinning for Jod.
Yeah.
And what does he do? He takes over the ship by executing Brutus. Kind of cold just shooting a guy while he's hanging out.
Yeah, this was, I think, shot right in the face, point blank, basically. They didn't show it, but it went a little darker than I thought they would go on this show with that scene. But Jod, I think, did it because of what Brutus said to him beforehand. Whether Aten's in there or not, you're a dead man. So he knew if he had an opportunity, he had to kill Brutus first.
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely. It was survival of the fittest at that point. No honor among thieves, I think is what they say. Even though they have a pirate code.
Yeah.
But it definitely puts him in the position he wants to take at Aten. And his master plan is in full effect at that point. He wins back over the crew. They go in, they capture the kids. And while they're walking around the ship, exploring the Onyx Cinder, of course, Silvo has his helmet back on and he's fully Captain Silvo again. That transmission buoy begins transmitting and they receive it. And what do they get? Messages from home. Which was a very touching point at this time. We see each one of the parents saying something encouraging, giving them news from home, ultimately ending with Wendell, who was talking to Wim and apologized for not listening and everything. And it's a very touching moment for the kids. What did you think of when the messages started coming through?
Well, I guess the practical side of me was how many Republic emissaries are out there, and how do you find one?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, that's I I was like, wait, did they really help them? I mean, they did. I mean, they couldn't give up. They couldn't give up the coordinates. They even say that, the
Mhm.
parents do. Um, but there's where I think about what a horrible position to be in as parents. It's like we're trying to help you, but we can't really help you, right?
Yeah.
And you and I are parents, and the idea of kids missing, I mean, in this case, where are they in the galaxy?
Mhm.
Little did they know they were that close, which was fortunate. But that's kind of like what I was thinking. I don't. How does that work? Do they know what a Republic emissary is? How do you find it, et cetera? But I think it was good for them to see it and kind of give them, the motivation to finish off the adventure and get back to At. But it kind of left me frustrated, honestly. Hey, we care about you, and but we can't tell you the coordinates to At, but find a Republic emissary. And of course, they didn't see any of them the whole time they were out in the galaxy. But I don't know. Maybe that would be easier than I thought. But I don't know. What did you think?
Well, I definitely understand that because I kind of was thinking that too. How would you contact the emissary? I mean, obviously, it's still, and even now, that still continues to prove that they don't know what's going on outside that barrier. I mean, the Empire, they don't know that the Republic fell, that there is no more emissaries. They're at a complete
Sure.
loss,
Sure.
which just proves so much in what they're how clueless I would say they truly are
That's
of
a
the outside world.
that's a really good point.
And but at the same point, what really frustrated me is, of course, then at that point, um, Jod knows who each of these kids' parents are, so now he's got more ammo he can use against these kids. Um, if he was to ever get down to the planet, then of course we have uh, what really I enjoyed about this scene is once the messages are over, Wim is like, they're like, we got to do something. Wim's like, attack, and he just goes running at the pirates, and they're like, they're just like grabbing him and holding him, and they're like doing nothing to take care of everything. And I will say there was a moment here where I thought they would actually have a chance because uh, when Jod was they were on that ship and Jod claims to be captain of the Onyx Cinder, and SM-33 says you can't be you captain of this other ship. You can't be captain of two vessels. It's in the pirate code. He goes, so this ship is up for grabs. And of course, you see Wim's face light up, and he starts calling claimsies as Jod runs over, covers his mouth, and claims to be captain of the Onyx Cinder.
Yeah.
Then of course, that was priceless in of itself. Then next thing you know, you have SM-33 knock him out and crush his helmet. And I'm like, this is the moment we've been waiting for since Jod took control of SM-33 and got the lightsaber in the layer on Lanupa. We've been waiting for him to just, punch him out and start helping the kids. And we finally got it. What were your reactions to that whole challenge of power? What were your thoughts when you saw that?
I love that stuff. It's claimsies, no claimsies, Jinx, buy me a Coke, all the kids stuff. It is fun how, John Watts and Christopher Ford have written in kind of this intermingling of the Pirates Code with how kids talk, and some of the silly stuff, we all did as kids. I remember playing marbles all the time as kids, and I remember one of the things that we would say is no keepsies. Like if it was a really, really cool marble, I remember my buddies and I, if they had one, I had one, and we're like, yeah, let's just play, but no keepsies,
Yeah.
So yeah, so no claimsies, no keepsies. So it is fun how they kind of mix that in, and that's some fun humor. And I love how SM33 says close enough, right? Close enough.
Yep. Close enough, kid. Oh, it was awesome. And SM33, man, I love this droid. I truly, truly love this droid. And I loved. We then get the scene where they've stolen the Onyx Cinder. They're flying. They've left the pirate ship, and they're going through the barrier. And of course, they're being chased by two of the pirate fighters that Vane launched.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, then we find out that the Onyx Cinder is actually the ship that the emissaries used to travel through the barrier. So it's a safe passage in and out of the barrier, which is awesome. We find that out in this.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, we see as they're flying through the barrier safely, the pirate ship's getting blown up by the security grid. But I loved seeing those giant, almost like shield generators that were kind of just floating in orbit, these giant satellites that were like larger, like 3 times the size of the Onyx Cinder, honestly. They were just massive, and generating the electrical lightning things around it. And it really, honestly, seeing those really took me back to the Clone Wars, to that one planet where the kid has all the droids.
Oh, definitely. That was a really good one. Yeah.
Yeah. Because, and I even mentioned this earlier in the season when we were talking about the barrier, that's kind of what it reminded me of. But seeing those satellites with those lightning bolts and stuff kind of generating from them, it really made me go, yeah, there's some inspiration from Clone Wars in there somewhere.
Oh, definitely. I have it as one of our Easter eggs, as because I know you have mentioned that before, and I can see the kid, and I remember, him saying people can't get in or out of it and all that kind of stuff. But the thing, when I saw these, and remember over at Akron, not at Atten, at Akron, they're wrecked. They don't remember that. A lot of people didn't understand what that was up in space, and it's these things, but they were wrecked, they were destroyed, they were non-functional over at Akron. But what they remind me of is, I don't know if people remember Shattered Empire. It came out, I'm trying to remember if it came out about the same time as, excuse me, I'm coughing here, the Aftermath trilogy by Chuck Wendig. But the Shattered Empire comic did this really cool job of showing Operation Cinder. It was something that, the Emperor put into place if he died, if he was killed and so on. And I remember seeing, these weather satellites above Naboo. We see Princess Leia go there and stuff, but these satellites, similar to these things, are generating devastating weather patterns over an entire planet. And it's just, one way that, the Emperor was trying to do Operation Cinder, again, burn everything to the ground. So that's what these things reminded me of. They're creating weather now, unlike Shattered Empire, where these large space stations, weather stations, are generating destructive weather over the entire planet. Here, Watts and Ford have modified it, and they're creating, Brutus called it a toxic maelstrom, around the planet. Because once you get through that, it's calm and peaceful, on at Atten. So slightly different take on it, but I thought pretty cool stuff.
Oh yeah, I forgot about those stations in Shattered Empire. I would, man, I'm trying to remember. I think those. I was going to say I was going to go back and read it, but I think I lost those in the flood. I think I lost Shattered Empire in the flood. So I'm gonna have to try to get my hands on those again. But yeah, that was a great story. that when it was released, and is still a fantastic read if you want more information on post Return of the Jedi Star Wars story. So now, during this flight into through the barrier, we get through the barrier, and there it is, just hanging in the middle of basically the eye of the storm, is the planet At-Aten. The kids see it for the first time, and they are, you could hear you could see the happiness and joy and everything in their faces and their voices. And next thing you know, John is there. he managed to jump on board right before the ramp finished closing, and he hid until that right moment. And of course, he didn't have his blaster, but he did have his lightsaber.
Mm-hmm.
And we begin to see John make use of that lightsaber as he decapitates our favorite droid. I gotta say, I was not happy with that.
Well, no, my daughter has watched every episode of this with me, and when his voice, you could hear it, and then they showed him, my daughter was so upset. She was not happy seeing him. And then when he did that to SM-33, my daughter loves SM-33. So, yeah, Jod is not out to win friends and influence people. So, no, it was a real turn. And I was not happy either, to say the least.
No, absolutely not. And he is, Jod's frustrations are truly growing at this point. You begin to see those frustrations as he begins to lash out at the kids, telling them to be quiet. You're always jabber, 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 jabber. And he's had enough with the kids, and is just done. Then of course they're on autopilot for the planet, and there's nothing he can do to stop it. He can't reach the pirate ship to tell them that At-Aten's truly here. And then of course they come in for a landing on At-Aten. But as before it lands, it cuts back to the parents who are on At-Aten. They are in a security room, the conference room, with the security droid who is basically telling them they broke rules and this and that, and his supervisor's going to have to. And also, as he's talking about supervisor, all of a sudden he just, hold on, and you see him kind of look up. Excuse me, and he turns and walks away, and they're like, "What's going on?" Then all of a sudden, for the first time, you hear the voice of the supervisor.
Yeah.
Announcing the arrival of the emissary of the Republic to the vault. And apparently this, of course, we find out is the first time an emissary has arrived in a long time. So they all move to the window to look, and all of a sudden KB's mom was like, oh, it's KB, because her little bracelet's going off, which is, of course, linked to her cybernetic enhancements. And the excitement begins to grow. All of a sudden we see this field in front of the vault just kind of magically open. It's kind of, I really got to say, very ingenious landing platform. I was impressed.
Yeah, clearly it had been. Yeah, well, none of the people there knew that it was going to do that. It's like they're like, what? They've lived there for how many years, and now the ground's opening up, and then they're running down the side of the hill. So clearly they had not seen that happen before.
Oh, no, obviously not. I mean, and we kind of try to, if we sit here and think, because I don't know, we know this takes place sometime in the Mandalorian Ahsoka timeline, somewhere in there. So we know Mandalorian takes place, 10 years, started 10 years after Return of the Jedi, I think it was. So you have that, then you have the 29 years of the Empire's role since the Republic fell. So you literally have the adults that are there literally probably never saw a Republic emissary come in before.
Yeah, I agree.
So, I mean, this is a new situation for all of them, to the point that they didn't even, and obviously they hadn't seen one because they didn't recognize John as not being an emissary, because I'm sure, knowing the Republic, there would have been, more than one person on the ship, and there would have been some kind of uniform.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it makes sense to me. They would have some kind of dignitary's uniform to go and take care of things. But
yeah,
hey, what do I know? And of course, they land. Jod comes off the ship, and he's of course being trailed by the kids. And of course, he gets addressed. They think Jod is the emissary, and they decide to take him to the vault. And of course, that's when we see the elevator ramps go back down into the tunnel, and they go down to the vault, and it opens up, and it is, I would say, if I was a pirate, that'd probably be the most beautiful thing I've ever seen.
Oh gosh, unbelievable.
Even not being a pirate, if I was controlled by greed, that would be the most beautiful thing I'd ever seen.
Yeah.
It kind of reminded me of do you remember? I'm trying. Oh gosh, I just blanked on the name. Goldfinger, the Bond movie, Goldfinger.
That was Sean Connery.
That's Sean Connery. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's when the bad guy in that movie is Goldfinger, and he breaks into his whole goal is to break in and steal the gold from Fort Knox.
Okay.
And of course, kind of the way the vault opens up at Fort Knox, and he walks in, and you see all that gold. Kind of reminded me of this. Vault opens up, and you see all those golden credits. And it's just kind of. Then, of course, Jod is like talking to the droid, and he's like, "Man, what's all this? How many of these vaults do you have?" Then he walks over to just the cart that's sitting there ready to be loaded, and he just goes to pick one up, and then they all just start pouring off the tray, and just are constantly pouring. And he drops to his knees, and he puts his head in it, and all the credits are falling on his head, and he just begins to laugh uncontrollably, because he is this is what he has been searching for this whole time. This is, his whole life he's been searching for a payday like this, to never have to deal with it again.
No doubt.
And he's seeing the culmination of all his hard work coming into reality, with all these credits in front of him. And it was quite an interesting scene, to be perfectly honest. What were your thoughts during that whole vault scene with him seeing the credits for the first time?
Well, I kept thinking back to the was it the previous? I was trying to think if it was it the previous episode, Zero Friends Again, where he's on the pirate frigate and he talks about being hungry.
Yes.
And never having enough credits, and here you see that, like I said, more credits than he's ever seen ever. Like probably most people in the entire galaxy have never seen this many credits in one place. So it's quite a, think about that. It's a myth. It's a planet of untold treasure, and it really is, right? Mm-hmm. And he found it. He's got to be just mind blowing to him.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And we get actually one of the best Easter eggs, and this is an Easter egg that you actually have to think about if you to really understand what the Easter egg. Actually, very brilliant by Watson Ford to write this in there, because he's looking around at this vault and he's totally amazed. He's like, how many vaults like this do you have? And the droid's like, we have 1,300, or was it 1,139?
That's right.
So that means besides the vault he's in, there are exactly 1,138 more.
That's right. That's right, buddy.
1138, of course, is the reference to THX 1138, which, of course, was one of the founders' greatest, or first, not greatest, but one of his first films, THX 1138. So I thought that was a pretty cool nod there.
Yeah.
That was awesome. But of course, while Jod is basking in his golden glory, the kids are standing on the ramp of the ship, and they basically a car, not a car, but a hover car shows up with their parents on it. And of course, we have that warm reunion where everybody's happy to see each other. And Jod comes out and introduces himself and basically tells them that the kids are in trouble because they broke the rules and they put At-Atten in danger and all this. And he orders the droids to take them away and keep them locked up. And of course, he ignites his lightsaber and it ends.
That's right. That's right. I know the cliffhanger, right?
Oh yes, the cliffhanger.
Yeah.
The cliffhanger. So what were your thoughts on that cliffhanger?
That was I was like, like I'd mentioned in my opening comments, my initial reactions, I was like, you can't do that to us, it's not fair. Right. But it was a really good ending with him having that blade out. It is pretty wild to see a blue blade being used like that in a threatened manner, right? We're used to red ones doing that, so it's a little weird to see him doing this like he did on the ship, right? He's on Cinder and he had it in their face, and and then even, we talked about how dark it was to shoot Brutus in the face, but then he's like, I'm going to carve you up and I'll carve up your parents. I was like, wow, this is getting a bit darker than I thought it would, and but then at the end there, it's in a very threatening way, and you see the kids' faces and then boom, cut to credits. But I've said it before, my dad said it. My dad went to him the Saturday morning serials. He saw him. He goes, "Oh my gosh, Dave, Buck Rogers and Flash Gordon." And you buy a Tootsie Roll that was the size of your head, and you get a bag of popcorn, and then all of a sudden, it's the cliffhanger, and I'd have to come back the next week at the theater. We'll go to the theater, and he said it was great, and it's fun. Cliffhangers can be fun. You're kind of like, oh, come on, but really, it is fun. And this was a really good cliffhanger.
It truly is, and I just realized I carabasted. I had a carabas moment and didn't even realize it till after you started talking, and I realized that the episode ended with Jod walking up and igniting his lightsaber. He hadn't told the parents the kids were in trouble. That's the opening scene of the finale. Carabas. But yeah, fantastic ending to the episode. Great cliffhanger, perfect way to set up a season finale. So yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. What any other things you wanted to hit on that we haven't talked about yet?
No. I wanted to hit those two Easter eggs, the THX 1138, and really kind of your view and my view, the reminders of the barrier, and really how it does feel like Watson Ford is pulling from the Clone Wars and from that Shattered Empire comic, which I really enjoyed both that Clone Wars episode and the comic. So those are the two things that I wanted to make sure we mentioned, and go from there. But no, I think we've done a good job on this.
All right, perfect. Well, with that, let's go ahead and jump into final reactions here and get this completed. I'll go ahead and go first since you started off with initial reactions. Again, like I said a few moments ago, just a fantastic ending, or to the fantastic second to last episode to lead us into a finale. It was full of edge of your seat action and suspense. There was danger, there was fun, there was explosions, and to reach their goal and the danger to still be there is just it's bone rattling. Very fun episode. I'm absolutely loving this series. It is, to me, it's a huge win for Lucasfilm. So bravo. How about you, my friend? What are your final reactions to the episode? We're gonna be in so much trouble.
Well, I do. I've said it before, and you said it so well. All the action and excitement, and I really felt like this episode really did work perfectly as a penultimate episode. It entertained the entire time while setting up what you and I are hoping that will be a great season finale, and I hope it's season finale, not series finale. It does say season finale, but we just don't know. But I'm really hoping again that in the final episode that we'll get a number of our questions and mysteries answered. Is Jod really force sensitive? Is it magnets in his gloves? Those kind of things. What else? Oh, will we see Kim come back into the story? I feel like she will, because of her telling KB, "Hey, call me if you need me." What else? What are some other mysteries? Who's the supervisor? Right? What is that all about? So we'll get all those answers hopefully in the season finale. But I love this one as, again, I got to keep saying penultimate episode. So it really was great. I enjoyed it, and I'm ready to see the finale, with you and then comment on it. So there you go.
Absolutely. We definitely are. And of course, we want to hear from you and hear what you have thought of the Skeleton Crew season before we, and I know, of course, by now everybody has seen the finale because, like I said, we're releasing this after the fact. But let us know what you thought of the series. We'd love to hear from you. You can hit us up on any of our social media accounts. We're on Facebook and X at SW Reactions Pod. Then, of course, we are on Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky, Pinterest, and YouTube. And for now, TikTok. Seeing what happens there, all at SW Reactions. You can email us at swreactions@gmail.com, or you can leave us a voicemail. You can do that by going to speakpipe.com/Star Wars Reactions. So, David, if somebody would like to talk Star Wars with you, how would they go about doing that?
Absolutely. Main place is still Twitter X. I don't know if everybody's left or if there's still some people there, but Twitter X, my handle is at David_Modders, MODDERS. And then, of course, if people, use any of our show socials, Aaron, always gets those over to me. So those are the best places.
Very good. Very good. Of course, if you want to talk to me, of course, through all the besides the show, so Carabast show socials. You can always get a hold of me on X at TA Harris 121079. I don't know why I have so much trouble running those two words together, David.
Well, there's just certain combinations, you know.
Yeah, there's certain combinations that just trip me up, and that does it. So, well, my friend, you know what that means.
Time to close the show, right?
Yep, with the best part of the show, the Star Wars dad joke of the week. See, I played off of that, huh?
Oh, that was good.
Trying to rush me out. I am sharp, like ninja. So we got this dad joke of the week for you this week, and here we go. What's the most important part of making the jump to hyperspace?
I don't know. What's the most important part of making the jump to hyperspace?
You got to plan it.
Oh. Oh my gosh. That was a slow burn. I had to, I'm like, oh. That's pretty good, actually, don't you think? I think that's pretty good.
You've got to plan it.
Oh my God.
Plan it. You know what Han says? You can't just jump into hyperspace. You fly through an asteroid, go through a moon or something.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Well, my friend, this has been a blast as always.
Absolutely, man. It's easy to cover these shows. These are fun episodes.
These truly are great episodes to cover, and I'm so glad we've gotten to cover Skeleton Crew. And we, of course, want to thank everybody for joining us. Remember, we will be at Central Florida Comic-Con this weekend. We'll be there Saturday, of course, hanging out, having fun. We just found out Emily Swallows, the armorer from The Mandalorian, will be there. So we are psyched for that. So if you're in the Central Florida area, come hang out with us at Central Florida Comic-Con. We're going to be having a blast. Of course, we want to still, like I said, thank y'all for joining us again week after week. We appreciate each and every one of you joining us and hanging out with us and spending your quality time with the two of us. Remember to do something kind for somebody this week. You know, just so much hurting in the world right now. Just do something kind for somebody. It'll if everybody would just do something kind for one person, it would just radically change the world. And let's get it going and starting with you. So remember, this is your place for elegant discussion for a more civilized age.
This podcast is not endorsed by the Walt Disney Company or by Lucasfilm Limited. It's intended for entertainment and informational purposes only. The official Star Wars website can be found at www.starwars.com. Star Wars. All names, sounds, and any other Star Wars-related items are registered trademarks and/or copyrights of Disney and their respective trademark and copyright holders. All original content of this podcast is the intellectual property of Star Wars Reactions, unless otherwise indicated. Star Wars Reactions. Elegant discussion for a more civilized age.